A routine is a little bit more rigid. It's going to be that step-by-step plan that you have for a specific part of your day. Everyone here could probably relate to the bedtime routine. When people be like, you need this exact bedtime routine to get your kids to sleep through the night. So people will like read the book, do the bath time, do like a quick warm milk, read one more book, sing a song, then they're in bed. If you feel like that's the thing that we have to do in order to have our kids sleep through the night or to set us up to have a good day, when something veers off of that, then you are going to feel that shame, that guilt, that sadness, that disappointment in yourself because you feel like you can't stick to your routine.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life and marriage? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I am so excited to talk to my guest today because this is something that I have personally experienced time and time again. And honestly, I made myself feel bad for it. And that's when, you get in those funks where it's like someone gets sick or something happens and you have to change your whole way of living, like how you do things in home life and work life and all that. And then all of a sudden everything has gone to shit and you're like, oh, I got to deal with this. And then that thing goes away or resolves. And then you're like, well, what do I do with myself now? Now it's been too long. I don't know how to get back into my routine and do what used to work for me. So now what? And we're going to be talking today about the concept of rhythms versus routines. And I'm so thrilled to have you here, Siobhan. Siobhan here is a coach for moms, and she is here to help you feel your best, really, truly help you adapt to life as a mom without feeling like you have to sacrifice yourself, feeling like motherhood is like your life that's over. Your job is now to just fully take care of the kids and that's it. She is so anti that and I love it so much. And I knew when I met her, I just had to bring her onto the show because me personally and all of you, we all need more people who can uplift and support and empower us to be the version that we want to be as moms while also remembering who we are as individuals. So Siobhan, thank you so much for being on the show. Can you please share with the listeners where you live, how old your kids are, and what led you to be a coach to help moms?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Michelle. I'm really excited to be here. So I live in Ontario, Canada. I have 2 little kids. One is 4 and one is 1. So I'm in the thick of little baby times. And I had a really rough go of it, my first postpartum experience. I really struggled. I didn't have the village that I thought I would have. I didn't have the inner strength that I thought I would have. I felt really lost and didn't know where to turn to and how to get back to who I am as a human, but also who I was evolving to be as a mom. And so after a lot of personal work and fixing myself and my family and making sure that things were flowing better for us, then I decided that I didn't want any other moms to go through this, and I wanted to make the world a better place for the next generation as well. And when we support moms, they are going to support their families, their homes, their communities, and it's just a beautiful ripple effect all the way up.
Yeah, and they say change starts at home. right? And it's how we raise our kids, and we can't raise our kids if we are not taking care of ourselves. And that to me was never a thought that crossed my mind until the past several years. Like, honestly, not until I decided to become a life coach and started like going down this like unexpected journey of personal development and understanding myself better and how I impact my family and everyone around me, and how unselfish it is to take care of myself and make sure I'm really putting forth my best self. Yeah. So I understand you also have a podcast. Can you tell people about your podcast too?
I do. So I have the Everwell Mama Podcast, and it's all about living guilt-free in motherhood. So being able to take care of yourself, go do the fun things that you want to do the things that you need to do at home without having to escape to somewhere else in order to do it, and just simple strategies and tricks to try in order to be able to accomplish that and get past that mom guilt.
Oh my gosh, that word escape, just like, yeah, I think a lot of people can resonate with that, like especially with the whole wine o'clock culture of like, oh, I need wine to like help me deal with being a parent, or I need to get out of my house, get away from my kids so that I can feel better. And I mean, yes, that's also good for you to go do things on your own. But if you constantly feel like you want to run away or hide from your kids, then I'm really glad you're here, because you should go check out Siobhan's podcast, because I don't want you to feel that way. And yes, there are stressful times, but if that's like your baseline and that's, you know, your everyday feeling of being a mom now, then like, let's get you the support that you need so that you can shift your experience for the better. Okay, so let's dive into rhythms versus routines. I don't know if this is like a generational thing, right? Where our parents really drill down on routines, structure, right? That is their thing. And I don't know if it's because I have like undiagnosed, self-diagnosed ADHD, or if it's because I'm a mom now. I don't know. Something about the word routine has always rubbed me the wrong way and felt really rigid, where it's like, oh, if I veer off of it, if I get off track temporarily, there's this like pang of like guilt or like disappointment, maybe even shame, right? Yeah. So let's first define what's a routine, and then on the other side of the spectrum, what's...
Yeah. So a routine is a little bit more rigid. It's going to be that step-by-step plan that you have for a specific part of your day. So I think everyone here could probably relate to the bedtime routine. When people be like, you need this exact bedtime routine to get your kids to sleep through the night, right? And so people will like read the book, do the bath time, do like a quick warm milk or whatever it is, read one more book, sing a song, then they're in bed. And like, that's the key to get your kids to sleep. But if anyone actually has kids, you'll know that like maybe that's not going to work for you. So when it doesn't work, if you feel like that's the routine, like that's the thing that we have to do in order to have our kids sleep through the night, or in order to set us up to have a good day, if it's your morning routine. When something veers off of that, then you are going to feel that shame, that guilt, that sadness, that disappointment in yourself, because you feel like you can't stick to your routine. And then on the other side, rhythms is what I like to teach, because in motherhood especially, there are so many ups and downs and wiggles and wobbles, and we're never on a straight linear path. Every day is going to look completely different from the last. And so a rhythm is like, I want to read a book at bedtime, I want to do a bath, I want to sing a song, and then have everyone go to sleep. That is my goal. But maybe we start the routine or start the rhythm a little bit late, and then we don't have time to do the book, or we don't have time to have like a full-on bubble bath. We're just going to do like a quick rinse off tonight. Or we don't have time to sing a song. We're just going to hum because someone has a sore throat or something. Being able to give yourself the grace and the ability to flow through those challenges and those changes, that's what I think of when I think of a rhythm.
I love that. And as a woman, I think that really honors our way of life, which is cyclical, right? Like men, if you're not familiar, if you haven't listened to my episode with Anna Sneed, where we talked about really harnessing the power of your period when it comes to marriage, when it comes to motherhood, this like concept of following a rhythm versus a routine very much honors that way that we are. Because if we are really rigid and say, this is the way that it has to be, that's kind of assuming like we're robots, right? Like we have the same amount of energy every single day, every point in time. And that's not us. Like whether we are, women with our periods and we have varying levels of energy throughout the weeks and the days, the month, or if you're a dude listening to this, which, hi, you are a rare commodity here, but like there are things that we experience in life just outside of our periods, right? Like there's stressors that we may encounter, right? We can have family issues that we're dealing with. We can have work issues we're dealing with. We can have drama with our friends, hopefully not, with your kids and what they're going through, or maybe they're going through some like kind of boundary testing stage, which is very draining. We're not always going to have that same level of energy to be like, okay, we're going to read 3 books. We're going to have a bath. Like sometimes at bedtime, that routine, I'm like, look, mommy needs to go to bed. I have expired.
Yep.
I want to be able to read to you, but I can't. And the longer we take, the less nice I'm going to be. Okay. So like just FYI. So like, let's get you to bed so I can get rest and we can do this tomorrow. But like, I feel like putting that pressure on us is not a good thing.
Mm-hmm. And I think as well, it's not even just pressure on ourselves, but it's the pressure on our kids as well, right? Because they're not robots. They're not always going to be the exact same every day or be able to like have all of the perfect, neat ways of getting things done. They're going to have days when everything's going to take like 5 extra years because they have to do every step on their own. Or they're going to have those days when they're just really not feeling it and they're going to need a little extra help. And so it's going to take a little bit longer to get through things. And so maybe you don't have time to go through the 3 books or whatever it is. So giving yourself and them that space to be flexible and know that it's fine if you're not going to do this full rigid routine tonight, because when mommy gets to go to bed, then mommy gets rest and she gets to have a great day with you tomorrow, right? And when you get rest, you get to have a great sleep, and then we all get to be happy tomorrow. So it's not just us, but it's also for our kids.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I love that the work that we do for ourselves and teach them through what we do gives them permission to honor themselves in that same way when they're older, or even now, like, hey, I'm not feeling it today. So like, sorry, I'm going to need a little more grace and I'm going to tap out early. Like, I love that idea. I never thought of it that way. I always think about, like, oh, the way we talk about ourselves or the way we talk to other people, like they're picking that up. But the way we honor our energy and where we're at and what we have the bandwidth for, that is huge.
Absolutely. And we're modeling everything to them all the time. They are learning more through what we do and our actions than what we say to them, right? And I think there have been countless studies on this. But you can say like, oh, I'm really tired and I need a little bit more grace. But if you're not actually doing the actions to give yourself that extra grace and actually give yourself that rest, they're seeing that more than the words that are coming out of your mouth. And so really modeling what you want them to do when they're older, when they are moms or they are dads, what do you want them to go into in adulthood as their default mechanism to default back onto? Because my default to go back to is absolutely not a calm, like really chill mom who's able to give herself grace. My mom was a single mom with 4 kids. She worked really hard to give us the best life that she could, and I'm so grateful for all the things that she did. But she burnt herself out constantly, and I didn't know that until I went into motherhood. And so I've really had to do a lot of work in order to make sure that I don't fall back onto that default mode that I saw, and give my kids a different default to see for them to lean on later.
No, yeah, totally. I mean, I've been more unapologetic about what I need. And so, like, I realize that when I'm tired, I really don't like things in my face. And kids get up all in your face, whether
Mhm.
it's their toy or themselves. And as soon as I feel like my instinct is to swat them away or whatever they put in my face, like, oh, I'm tired. But that's
Mhm.
because I've learned that that's like a symptom of what I do when I'm tired. And now I'm like, okay, mommy's really tired right now, or mommy's still trying to wake up. I just want to eat my breakfast in peace, and then we can play when I'm done.
Mhm.
But the more you talk to me, the longer I'm going to take because I need calm right now. And before, I would not be able to do that. I would just get annoyed and snap at them instead of now where I'm like being really matter of fact, like, I want to hear this, but I want to hear this after I've eaten. You've already eaten your breakfast. Mommy hasn't.
Mhm.
And so I kind of noticed too that they've been more empathetic because I've been more vocal about giving them perspective, which they lack, right? Like, which is
Yeah.
fair. They're not of the age where they can really think of other people very much. It's all like themselves and their experience because it's so big and their brain's not developed. But like, by vocalizing that instead of just doing what I feel like society has deemed that good moms should do, which is just drop everything and tend to them, I'm like, oh, wait, if they matter, why can't I too? Right. And so I've been doing more of that and I'm noticing they're responding differently to me now. So, like, if my son sees me stressed out, he'll like come up to me and goes, Mommy, you look like you need a hug. I'm like, I could use a hug right now. But
Yeah.
before that, like, no, he probably wouldn't have done that. He probably would just keep asking me for things or whatever. But because I've been sharing my experience and putting things into perspective for them, it's like kind of sinking in to be like, oh, I should think of other people a little bit more.
Yeah. Awareness and empathy, like you said, right? It's teaching them to put themselves in someone else's shoes. And you're one of the most important people in their whole world. So, of course, they're going to want to help out mommy, be that wonderful little human that they are. And so, giving them the tools and that perspective in order to be able to do that, rather than seeking connection with you because they see you're frazzled and they're trying to like get you to hold their toy because they think that might make you feel better, or like jump on you because they think like maybe that'll make you feel better. You're telling them, this is what I need to feel better, please give me this. And you're setting those healthy boundaries for them, and again modeling what those healthy boundaries look like so that they have those tools and skills later on.
Yeah. Okay. So for those who are new to this idea of like having a rhythm versus a routine, what is the best way to get started to kind of like untangle themselves from this very strong, like, what's the word that I'm thinking of? This like strong foundation of needing a routine and needing to follow this way of being, and kind of like getting away from believing that if they don't follow the routine, then there's something inherently wrong with them. What is something that moms can start doing, or even dads can start doing, to start giving themselves that grace to start following rhythms instead of routines?
I think it's really going to depend on the one specific person and where they're having the most trouble in terms of that rigidity and feeling lost with things. But overall, everyone needs to start off super small. So if you have a very intricate bedtime routine right now, that is what makes you feel good. Don't throw out the whole routine and be like, yeah, we're just winging it from now on, because that's probably going to stress everyone out. What we want to do is, maybe if you have 3 books, maybe try and not read all 3 one night when you don't have as much capacity. Or if it's your morning routine and you always wake up at 5 a.m., if you're one of those people, I'm not. But if you're always someone who wakes up at 5 a.m., but then you're really exhausted one day and your body is literally begging you for rest, sleep in a little bit, because taking that extra little bit of time is not going to ruin the rest of your day. And in fact, if you have a little bit more rest, you're probably going to have a better day. So whatever it is that you're feeling really attached to, try and give it just a teensy tiny bit of wiggle room and see how that feels, and then adjust from there. And I think the biggest thing is just to always remind yourself and remember that every day is totally different. You are a different person right this second than you were at the beginning of this podcast. You are a different person today than you were 10 years ago. We are constantly evolving and changing. Every single day is going to look totally different. Our kids are constantly evolving and changing. So really just honoring that and giving yourself that grace that you would give to your kids when they're having a rough day or they're having a rough time. Give that to yourself. I'd also really love to just touch on the fact that some parts of our day are very strict and rigid in terms of routine, right? There are specific times that our kids have to be at school or daycare or whatever it is. There are specific times that they need to be at extracurriculars or things like that. And so in order to have more rhythm within those confines of your day, I have found that the easiest ways to make that happen are to give yourself a little bit more wiggle room and buffer time between activities. So if you have an extracurricular that starts at 4 and school ends at 3, rather than rushing from one point to the next, maybe you go and have like a picnic together between going to the next place, if that's possible. Just doing something that's going to bring both of your nervous systems or all of your nervous systems down before you move on to the next thing. So we're not boosting that cortisol and getting all stressed trying to get to the next activity. And the same thing for the morning. If it's really hard to get your little one out of bed to go to school, maybe you start that wake up time just a little bit earlier. And that doesn't mean like, get out of bed right now. We're like, you've got an extra 15 minutes because you have been sleeping in every day. I'm going to like turn on some like nice wake up music 15 minutes earlier today because you had a really hard time getting up yesterday. And so just weaving in these ways of being able to wiggle around those strict times in the time that you do have a little bit more flexibility can really help you with building those rhythms throughout.
Love that. I think that also teaches our kids to be flexible too, to not, have this like, okay, every time we do this, this is what happens and these steps are followed. Mm-hmm. And like for us, that 3 to 4 o'clock time slot, like that's totally my experience during the school year because kids get off the bus at 3 and then my daughter has like dance at 4:30, but then she's got to come home, eat a snack, get dressed. I got to do her hair, all of that, right? And what I started doing was I surprise her with a snack in the car when I go get her so that she's like, ooh, and then she's already starting to eat. So she doesn't need to eat as much. And I think as parents, we're constantly rushing our kids. And it's not fun for anyone involved. It's not fun for us to feel rushed. It's very stressful. It's not fun for them because they're always being told what to do and they just want to live life. Like we could learn more from them. Totally. And I think the more we can kind of just like work with what we have and even asking our kids, if your kids are old enough, be like, hey, how do you think like the best way to handle this is? Like, we've got this, we've got this. Those are the two things we can't change. But for you, what would be the best way that we could do this so that it's like more fun? And the more buy-in they have, the more they're going to cooperate, right? Because then it's like one less thing where they're being told what to do. And they feel like they have a bigger sense of control over their lives. And I think the more we can offer that to them, the easier the easier time everyone will have, which who doesn't want that? Right. Mm-hmm. And I've started to kind of unsubscribe from the feeling of rushing. Like, does that mean I don't rush my kids? No, I still rush my kids, but I've been giving more space. Like, so if I think like, okay, it's going to take, what do they call it? Like mom math. Like, okay, if I need to be there at this time and it takes this long to drive there and it takes this long for us to get ready and it's like, okay, well, let's add another 15 minutes to that because kids sometimes, I don't know, like my daughter's been having this weird thing, like where she'll put clothes on. She's like, okay. And then we get in the car and she goes, this feels funny. And then she has to go change. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, come on, girl. Like, we gotta go. But if I, give us 15 more minutes or even just like drive earlier than I need to. They actually enjoy the time that we sit in the car waiting until it's time to get out and go to the thing that we need to go to. So it's like,
Absolutely.
you know what? I don't even care. Like, let's just get in the car. If we're there early, sure. I'm not stressed out trying to like drive fast or like, you know, try to find the fastest route there or whatever. I'm just like calm, cool, collected. Oh, what song do you want to hear? Sure, no problem. Instead of like, nobody talk to me.
Absolutely, no, for sure. And then it makes everyone feel calmer and more ready to do whatever that next activity is.
Yeah.
If you are activating that amygdala part of your brain and you're getting into that, like, we need to go, we need to do this, it can take like 45 minutes or longer for that to come down out of your body. For your kids too, just vicariously through you. So if they are dancing for an hour, they're only getting 15 minutes fully engrossed in the dance class if you're rushing to get there, right? So taking that extra bit of time in order to make sure that we are going into it so we get that full amount of time of joy and excitement of doing this is so beneficial for everyone. And also with rhythm, if there's a day when everyone's just not feeling it and like you can't make it to dance class, then don't go to dance class. No one is going to call you out for not going to dance class. And if they do, don't talk to them again.
Yeah. And the money's spent already. So it's like, is it worth it for you to go and like push it just to be like, well, I got to get my money's worth. Okay. Well, are you and your kids going to be okay? Is this going to ruin the rest of your day? Like you have to weigh the cost of it. Yeah. Love it. Okay. And then I'll just like put the whole thing after that. Yeah. I love that. It is in those baby steps that we take, those like little tweaks, I like to say, where real change happens. Because when you try and change too much at one time, your brain does not like that.
No, it does not.
And it doesn't catch on for the long haul. It's like, you know, those like New Year resolutions. It's like, I'm going to hit the gym 3 times a week and go there for 2 hours a day. And it's like in December, you weren't going at all. Like you went 0 days in December. That is too big of a change for you to commit to for it to stick. So like, I like to trick my brain. So when I started becoming more physically active, I was like, I'm going to go walk 1 lap around this park, see how I feel. Could I do more? Yes, I knew I could do more. But I didn't want to put that pressure on myself to like meet this imaginary rule that I set, right? I was just like, my goal is to move and that accomplishes my goal. Can I surprise myself and do more? Sure, but I'm not going to hold myself to it, right? And just like with everything, if you can just give yourself an easy thing to do, where it's like a no-brainer, right? Like if you're to pick up reading, you're like, I'm going to read 1 page a day. Anybody could read 1 page a day, okay? Like you're probably reading so many headlines all day, every day through social media or wherever you read that you could commit to 1 page a day if reading was something that you wanted to start doing. And if it's intriguing enough, you might find yourself reading an entire chapter, 2 chapters, 5 chapters, half a book. I don't know. But it is in those baby steps where you kind of like meet yourself where you're at. You're like, you know what? Even if I'm just making a teeny little bit of progress towards my goal, it's still better than no progress than what I used to do before, right? So I think we need to start being more honest with ourselves about what would actually move the needle versus just like, oh, that's too overwhelming, I don't even want to start. But rather, okay, if I started, what could that look like? What would like the easiest entry point be like for me to get this going? And I think this is a great way to approach your way of easing into self-care, your way of easing into following a rhythm versus a routine. I've heard people even like start feeding their kids dinner when they get home from school. That to me, I was like, that is so early. But if that's what works for you, like try it. There's literally nothing stopping you from changing when you do things or how you do things in your home. And I think figuring out what works for your family is the only criteria that you need to meet. Who cares if someone doesn't agree with you? Like you and your partner are the ones in charge. you no longer have parents deciding for you what you should be doing, right? It's you and your partner. That's it. And so there's even been moments where it's like when my daughter gets home, I'm like, time to shower. It's not all the time, but like if that's what works and that's what's going to end the resistance that you may experience at bedtime because they're tired and maybe they don't like to take a bath, and like play around with it, see what works for you and see what helps your whole family do better. I think that's the whole end goal of this, right? Is with rhythms versus routines. It's like if routine is something that's too rigid for you to follow and it makes you just come out of it feeling icky unless you're like on all the time, then maybe that's not for you. Maybe rhythms are something that you could give a shot and be like, oh, when I'm low energy, what's our rhythm? When I'm full of energy, what's our rhythm? And kind of explore. Like this whole thing is like a wild ride, right? It's really trial and error. And I think the more we experiment, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah. And I think also just really paying attention to the fact that every day is going to look different, right? So this might be your new rhythm for today or for this week or for this month. Like every single day is going to look a little bit different. And so really paying attention to that flexibility. So don't try something new and be like, okay, this is the new thing that we're doing from now on, because then you're going to slip back into your routine. The whole point of a rhythm is to go up and down and to have those times when it's more sped up and those times where it's a little bit slower. If we're thinking musical rhythm, right? We want to really give that flow and that time to have those ups and downs of that roller coaster ride that is life and really play with it. And one of the things that you were talking about is paying attention to what works inside the walls of your home, right? And that's something that I really stress on and work on with my clients, is building that self-trust muscle and really focusing in on what actually feels good to you, not what society said you should do, not the expectations that are placed on you from your parents or grandparents or whatever, but what actually feels good to you and for your family, and how can you make that work in your day-to-day as much as it feels good continuously. And again, don't do it every single day if it doesn't feel good every day, but just really understanding what your capacity is every day and how you can improve your day-to-day life by doing the things that are honoring where you're at today.
Yeah, and we're not just talking about like your rhythm with your family either. You could even apply this like across the board, right? You could apply this to how you approach taking care of yourself. Like maybe you aren't feeling lifting weights today. Maybe it's more of like going outside for a walk around the block or around the neighborhood or taking your kids to the park. This is my favorite way to walk, by the way. Like when I have the kids with me, well, ideally I would not have my kids with me when I walk, but when they are with me, my favorite way to walk with them is they bring their bikes or their scooters and they like go, like just go explore. I'll be walking. You'll find me. Just stay together. It's fine. And it's like this paved circle. So it's like, can't really lose you. It's very populated. So I'm not worried about anything horrible happening. And it's like everyone gets to experience it the way they want to experience it. And you get to play around. If you want to do something more intense, do something more intense, right? If you want to do something more laid back, do something more laid back. I think the more we pay attention to how does this feel? How do I want to feel? That will help guide you. And you're going to need to kind of be flexible with motherhood anyway, right? Sometimes your kids are bouncing off the wall and you're like, you clearly need to run out your energy. So like, we're going to switch things up a little bit. Maybe we're going to go to the pool and like you can play with your friends and have fun. So come bedtime, you're not bouncing off the walls and I'm trying to pull my hair out, trying to reel you in and, wind down. We all know as moms that our kids are unpredictable. We never know what we're going to get with them. They can wake up completely cranky one day and then the next they're like so happy and happy to cooperate with you. Like you just never know what you're going to get. So I think the more willing you are to adapt to following a rhythm versus trying to follow a routine no matter what, where it's not even honoring how you're feeling or what kind of day your kids are having or where you're at in life, that's like trying to force something rather than going with the flow of things.
Yeah.
But what if you just like go with the flow? What would that look like with you? Like, obviously have boundaries, right? And have your goals of like, okay, healthy, happy, everybody goes to bed by this time and we need to accomplish these things. Cool. But your approach doesn't have to be the same every single time. And I think that's like really what the heart of this conversation is. It's like, be willing to use a different approach if that's what works better for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. The rhythms really does affect every part of our lives. We're always flowing in and out of different areas. It could be your career. Maybe you have years where you're like really working on like growing and like doing better and better in your career. And then other years where you're just like coasting by. Or it could be even your finances, right? Like there are years when you're going to make a lot of bank and years when it's not going to be so abundant. So we're always having in every aspect of our life these rhythms of ebbs and flow. Force literally is pressure, right? So we are putting pressure on something in order to force it to happen. And so having that flexibility to not be pushing and putting pressure on something to make it happen is really valuable for our overall well-being and our kids' well-being as well. But we really want to make sure that we are sticking to our values and following that self-trust muscle again, just making sure that we're building ourselves up in a way that we want the world to look for our family, but in a way that isn't pushing us into it, right? We're not trying to like wrestle ourselves into a happy life because that's not going to bring you any joy. You need to be able to just open your arms and embrace the happiness that you already have, and that will help you to bring in more and more each day.
Absolutely. So, as we're talking about following rhythms and really honoring our energy level and trying to improve our experience of life as a mom, life as a woman, life as a spouse, life as a friend, like all the different roles that we play, I have to admit, like the most common experience for a mom is to feel tired, to feel drained, to feel burned out. And I know you and I both, we want to help improve that for others. That doesn't mean that we don't get tired, by the way. Okay, listeners, like we're not saying that we are immune to being tired and that we have all the things figured out. What we're saying is that we don't experience burnout as much anymore because we have the tools to support us, right? Siobhan has a kit that I want her to share with you because it sounds incredible. It's called the Tired Mom's Reset Kit. Can you share with the listeners what this is and who it's for?
Yeah, so I built this kit based on a bunch of different tools that I have learned over time in order to not be as tired and be able to make it through my days with a little bit more grace and more joy for my. And so in the kit, there are tools to support kind of the trickiest times of the day for moms. So we've got the morning energy boosters, we've got the afternoon slump busters, and then we've got the evening tools that help you get through the wind down without pushing yourself into overdrive so that you're getting all of the things that you need to get done without forcing yourself to start that worry spiral and all of your to-do list for tomorrow, and then pushing yourself back and back and back for bedtime. So those are the three main areas, and there are 4 tools for each time of the day that are super quick and simple things that any mom can implement into any day and really just figure out how to make that part of the day a little bit easier.
Amazing. I mean, I think that had I been, I don't know, however many years ago it was, my middle child, who's my first biological child, is about to turn 9. So like that many years ago, I would have really needed this because I didn't know what I know today, which is to truly be honest with myself and honor myself and not put myself up against those standards that our parents were held up to, and society constantly hammers into us saying like, unless you do these things in this way, then you are not a good mom. It's like, well, I get to decide what a good mom is for my kids, because I know my kids well, and what serves me well is what's going to make me a good mom. And so if you're in that stage right now where everything feels really hard and it feels like you are just constantly tired, you never have the energy to do anything but the bare minimum, or you're feeling a lot of guilt because you're not accomplishing as much as you want to, go check out her reset kit. Okay. Where's the best place for people to connect with you?
Definitely Instagram. If you want to come and chill with me in the DMs, I'd love to have a chat with you. That's my favorite place to connect with everyone. But you can listen in on the podcast. You can check out the website. Lots of places to connect.
Amazing. And I will drop the links of where you can follow her and her podcast and the reset kit in the show notes. So be sure to check those out. And if you do reach out to her, please let her know you found her from this show so that she knows exactly where you're coming from. And thank you, Siobhan, for being on the show. I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing this amazing idea of following a rhythm versus a routine. It feels so much more freeing and empowering and, I don't know, like nurturing for a mom, rather than like, hey, if you don't follow these steps in this way at this time, then you suck. Come on. Like, we're not about that here. We're all about helping you live your best life in the best way for you. And that gets to look different for everyone. So thanks again for being on the show, Siobhan. If you have enjoyed this episode, please let us know. Reach out to us. We love hearing from our listeners. And if you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share it with them. Better yet, tag us in your stories so that all your people can find this episode. And if you love this show, I would so appreciate it if you leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That is the best way that people like you can find the show and get what they need from it as well. And that's it for this episode. I will catch you back here on the next one. Bye.
That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.